Josh Mother Trucking Doan. Hit the intro, Robyn.
You're Locked On Coyotes, your daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are back. This is Locked On Coyotes, number one daily podcast on the Arizona Coyotes. I'm your host, Robyn Leonio, alongside Matthew Jacobson.
Hello.
I want to thank everyone for making this show your first listen. We're free and available everywhere you get your podcasts, including on YouTube, Sirius XM, ad-free on Amazon Music. We're finally back. Had to take a little bit of a reset, but we're finally back, Matthew. Talking as... Right when things start to get, a little bit juicy towards the end of this season for the Coyotes, it's getting everything starting to juice up a little bit more.
It's ironic we're back on the same day I finally moved on from AZ Sports Guy. Robyn, you want to know what else big happened? That's going to be happening tonight, and I am going to not be in the building for it because I have class tomorrow. So if I wasn't already damn near that bridge, Robyn, I'm going to start edging back towards it. Joshua Doan, the grandson of the great Bernie Doan. I really wish he was, a little less notable. The son of Shane Doan. I don't know if you know who he is. Pretty niche kind of guy around here. Is making his NHL debut wearing number 91. So at the very least, we're not going to have people complaining about the trade return for this number 91 like we saw with Taylor Hall. I had to throw in a Halsey reference here. I think it's a little fun. Robyn, what do you think about one Joshua? What's his middle name? I'm going to say Timothy for right now. Joshua Timothy Doan. His handle on Twitter is JT
Thomas.
Donor.
It's Thomas.
Is it Thomas?
Yeah, you were close.
Dude, why'd you steal my name? Oh my God. Joshua Thomas Doan. What are your thoughts on him joining the NHL finally?
I couldn't be more excited. It's the opportunity for us to kind of get the opportunity to see what part of the future is going to look like. I mean, yes, we've had Gunther and Cooley up for a while, so that's not that part wasn't the issue. But you want to see the more complete package, right? Now you're going to see Doan up there. It's been fantastic. He's been doing really well in Tucson. So like he deserved the call up first and foremost, and second, just to say that look, he's finally getting his Coyotes debut, following in his father's footsteps. Like it's an awesome thing.
I'm trying to fact check this live, Robyn. Would you believe me if I said that Josh has more AHL goals than his father?
I would believe that. Yeah, I would believe that.
Because now when we're talking about Donor, we got to specify because Shane. He played 3 seasons in the WHL, jumped to the NHL, and had spent some time in 97-98 in the AHL with Springfield. 21 goals, 21 assists, 42 points in 39 games. Very impressive. Josh, this year alone, 62 games, 26 goals, 20 assists, 46 points. Add 3 goals from last year. Josh has more AHL goals than his dad. Maybe his apparently overrated trash hockey dad. The real Donor's here to pick it up. You saw that tweet, right? Where it's like, is Shane Doan the most overrated Coyotes player?
Oh yeah.
And for some reason, apparently I'm too dry. I'm being sarcastic. Apparently some people think I'm a little too dry with my humor. I'm being sarcastic. Robyn, I can't contain my excitement. As someone, Shane Doan is my personal hero. And I know the saying is usually accurate. Don't meet your heroes. I've met him many times. He is probably the best person I've ever met in my life. Phenomenal human being. I've got to meet and talk with Josh a good handful of times. He's also a great kid. Definitely raised right. His parents raised him right. The fact that this Nepo baby. The fact that this waste of a draft pick that you could have gotten the 3rd or 4th round, not a legitimate NHL prospect, was leading the AHL in power play goals. Last I saw when I was down there covering a couple of games, is among the league leaders in rookie goals this season, was leading Tucson in goals this season. Asterisk, Dylan Gunther got called up. It'd probably be a little closer if Gunner was still there. However, he's just shy of 30 goals. Still impressive. The fact that he's continued to do nothing but impress and exceed expectations, and we get to see the Doan lineage continue in Arizona where it belongs. It's so hard to put into words, and I know I'm jumbling myself up right now in excitement, but Robyn, it is really hard to describe just how excited I am to have not only a Doan back in a Coyotes uniform, but Josh specifically with how good he's been, how hard he's worked, getting to follow him from ASU to Tucson, now to Arizona. He is also, Robyn, the first ever player to play for Arizona State Sun Devils, the Roadrunners, Tucson or Phoenix, and the Coyotes. He is the first player to play for all of them. And the fact that we are going to see this in witness history, I can't put into words how important this is, in my opinion, for the state of Arizona and for hockey.
That's an amazing stat that you just put out there. I think you know this answer too, and I want to ask you this because I don't know a number on the top of my head. For what number of former ASU players does that making their NHL debuts?
He will be the 3rd. He is behind one Joseph Decord and Brinson Pashishnuk.
Is that how it was pronounced? Pashishnuk?
I thought it was Pasnichuk, but I can't read. And Twisted Wrister Hockey made sure he said, I was looking at him like, hey, you have an ASU kid. He's like, oh, Pashishnuk? When I tried to pronounce it. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with Pash.
I mean, it was interesting though, because he was on, I think the Barracuda for a little bit, right?
Him and his brother.
It was pronounced Pasnichuk on the PA.
I just work here. I just work here, Robyn. I'm trying my darndest.
But okay, so I was right in my head. He is the 3rd, but that's fantastic.
It's time to update the wall. The fact that for the last couple of years, every single time I walk down the ASU hallway and I look at that Coyotes logo because I have all the 32 NHL teams for NHL Devils, and I'm like, I can't wait to see Josh's name there. We're finally going to see it. It won't happen until next year, obviously, but who knows? Maybe they had his name on a plaque just waiting to go. That'd be really fun. I'm excited. I am so mad I'm not going to be able to watch this game. I am genuinely upsetty spaghetti because puck drops, 7 tomorrow? I have to leave by 5. So
I work tomorrow night at my other job, and so I will probably try to just ask very nicely to my bosses to put the Coyotes game on one of the TVs while I'm at work.
I am so tempted to just show up for roll call and then turn around and walk away. So I can at least watch. I'm gonna miss it, but I was there covering his first AHL game. I don't know, we bought a ticket for that one. I was there for his first AHL game. It's fun. I can miss the first NHL game.
That was an important one. So making his Tucson debut, like
the prodigal son returning.
I got a chance to see him at least a couple weeks into that, because I know I saw him when he was in Bakersfield. That, like I mentioned, that one weekend I just happened to be in Bakersfield for when at the same time the Roadrunners were playing the Condors. I was like, hey, you know what? Perfect opportunity to watch Josh Doan play hockey, and it was worth it. It was 100% worth it. And now about a year later, after that moment, he's making his Coyotes debut, which is amazing. The call up, when the call up happened, I think there was a little bit of anticipation for it. But when they officially, I think all of the excitement really officially happened when they officially said that he will be playing tonight.
Yes. Side note, before we do have to get into a break. Side note, Robyn, the last game, I also had to leave early for school. Did someone else get hurt in that game, and that's why we're calling up, or are they just gonna swap Leonard out for Donor? After they gave Leonard a little bit of a cup of tea.
Ooh, I want to say there was. I can't remember at the top of my head either. It's
Because
been
I don't remember the PR team putting out anything or anyone talking about an injury. It's entirely possible it's just they're sending Leonard back down after he had his cup of coffee.
which is very likely the case, especially too when there's a lot more movement since the trade deadline with less players on the full-time roster. So lots more movement can be happening.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think post-trade deadline you can really only call for emergency status technically.
I'm not. I don't read the bylaws, Robyn. I can barely read my psych homework. I'm just I'm just trying to make it through life here.
I was gonna say I thought you were just gonna say you can barely read, but
I can't. Why do you think I play card games? I can look at the pretty pictures and people will tell me what they do. It's like, okay, I summon blue eyes.
That's why we're your wonderful hosts of a podcast, because we don't have to read anything. We just talk to you guys.
Exactly. All right. It's the only thing preventing me from jumping off a bridge. Robbie, want to get into the ad break?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and get to a break. We're going to talk about the Coyotes arena. We're going to get to that, though, coming up right after this. And today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. It's past the halfway point of the NHL season. In fact, we're at the point where, it's like we're even past the trade deadline. We're in the home stretch of the NHL season, regardless of where we are in the current standings. And remind you that you can win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports, especially daily fantasy hockey, because with Sleeper you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. All you do is pick what players you are going to take for that 100 times your money, and it goes beyond NHL. You can play daily fantasy NBA, MLB with their season coming up. You can do college football next season, all on Sleeper. Talk with groups and teams, connect with other fans, play with alongside your friends. Entries can be made under a minute. All you got to do is pick whether or not studs like Josh Doan or even Connor McDavid or anyone else will record more or less than their Sleeper projection to things like goals, assists, saves, plus, minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times your bet on Sleeper, you need to quickly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Coyotes fans. You can win 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nail your picks so you can win big. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNHL. You get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code LOCKEDONNHL. See Sleeper terms of use for details and locational availability. Let's get going. Continuing on this episode of Locked On Coyotes, Matthew, let's talk a little bit about arena stuff. Enough to catch people up of what's been going on, because we took a little bit of a break. First and foremost, the sale has, or at least the auction has been approved. I'm trying to figure out the best way to word it, but yes, it's now approved to go to auction, that land site that the Coyotes want. Mm-hmm. And about, what was it, a week later, the renderings got leaked. So, which I'll show in a little bit.
On the app, so I don't know if we can call it a leak.
No, it was leaked because it was deleted almost immediately.
I don't think it. I don't think it. I think it was on purpose. I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think it was on purpose.
It could be. You don't know. Anyways, it's been a ride the last couple weeks.
Yes, Robyn. So the land's going to auction. We were supposed to have that auction date posted last week. Hasn't come up yet. However, kind of makes sense when Craig's source is saying that it's likely going to be longer than the 10 weeks, which is why I keep saying mid-June, because that's more than 10 weeks out. Pretty much by Sonic's next anniversary, we'll know what's going on with this auction. And Robyn, I Where do we begin with this situation? Where do we begin from more Frank Spaghetti posting to outlandish things being said about this arena to people in this state seeing these renderings, Robyn, and then just going right to, I don't want my tax dollars paying for this. And I'm like,
that's the most funny thing is because I think everyone's automatically going to assume that because one thing and one thing only, because I mean, let's put it this way, because most people have gotten used to the fact that more than 90% of sports venues these days have been funded by public money, which, a lot of people don't like. This is
blame, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't blame them, right? Especially if it's something, especially if you are someone who doesn't like sports or doesn't like, big venues like that. You're like, why would I have to pay for something I will never go to? Which makes sense. But this is a situation in which it's privately funded, 100%. So there will be none of that. So people just need to educate themselves on that. Plus, on the whole other things that were going on in the last couple of weeks where people were talking about the freaking land being prone to flooding. All I'll say to this, I know you're trying to hold I know you got something to say. All I will say about this, Matthew, is newsflash, people. It's open desert in Arizona. Guess what? During monsoon season, everything floods.
I used to live in a trailer over in Phoenix, and right next to the trailer park. I don't know what it's called now. It used to be called like Michigan Palms or something like that. Right next to the trailer park was this housing development, and in front of it was like a little. It's like a rocky area, just rocks, and it dips down. Every time it rained, it flooded. And I would go play in the water with the shopping cart that a homeless person dropped off there because I was definitely ghetto. Anyway, that's besides the point. Hey Robyn, when there is no sewage system or any pipes to bring the water from point A to point B, and the water just piles in the ground, how does that water dissipate? You want to talk about the water cycle for 30 seconds? I'm getting paid to talk about the water cycle.
You mean when it gets absorbed into the ground, becomes part of the groundwater?
Yeah, when it gets absorbed into the ground, or gets evaporated.
That's a whole other thing too, because I'm not sure if anyone's been in Arizona during monsoon season, but when it rains, does it flood? Like I mentioned, yes. The sun comes out. Let's say about 6 hours later. Guess what? It's all gone because either it drained somewhere, it's got some of the ground, took some of it up, and then it also evaporated because it is hot as brick.
And in that spot, that was a dip that I was talking about. It was I think it was. I can't do a size estimate. I'm just gonna say 5 feet because this was 18 years ago. This was before I was even a Coyotes fan, like right around when I started becoming a Coyotes fan. But it would take a few days in that big old dip for the water to go away. It's no more for land like this than 2. There is no infrastructure. Heard that a lot. It is a dirt lot.
And when infrastructure does get put in there, they'll have ways they'll have irrigation and flood controls put into place. I'll add one more thing to the whole flooding situation. To kind of let people know that there's of how things work here in Arizona. Much of you guys don't understand, but here in Arizona, because how dumb people are when it comes to flooding and how often it does flood, we have a thing called a stupid motorist law. Like legit, people will drive into floods here in Arizona. thinking they can
We're
they can
about.
handle it, and they get stranded. They have to pay for their own rescue.
I agree with that law, by the way.
It's an
I
amazing
do
law.
agree.
Because, I mean, again, the reason why it's called stupid motorist law, because only an idiot will will drive into a freaking 5-foot dip that's filled with water.
Robyn. I love Brody Brazil. I'll stand by this. I love his content. Seems like a great dude. Love to have him on the show one day.
Funny thing is,
Every time he talks Coyotes, there's a headache coming out of that video. Even if it's
100%.
just a passing comment, Robyn. Even if it's tell me the logic here. We are sitting here telling you the facts about what's going on, local perspectives, local reporting, and then here is some rando from the Bay Area. It's like, oh yeah, the area is prone to flooding, and that is just like at face value. Again, Brody, I know you're not watching. I love your content, dude. Please stop. Please.
Fun fact to all those that are listening and have egged me into talking to Brody. He responded to a message from me, or he actually even reached out first. It's willing to come on. We just have to figure out a time that actually works. But here's the thing, though, and like again, like you said, I love Brody too, and I understand where he's coming from making Coyotes commentary, because he's trying to talk to like mainly Bay Area sports fans. Obviously, other people are starting to pay attention to him too, to give his perspective on it from the perspective of a reporter who covers a team who is going through a relocation and has had arena problems for the last several decades in the Oakland Athletics. Mm-hmm. Like he grew up on that, right? He's been he's been a huge A's guy for his entire life. So he understands that. So I think that's kind of why he's driven to talk about the Coyotes, because they're going through something similar. But just get some local sources. That's all I gotta say.
However, it does seem like he does pay attention to national, like not national, like NBC affiliate type reporting, where it's like
which
is good. I want to give credit where it is due. Even when we get frustrated with people, when there's small mistakes, big mistakes, whatever, we should throw credit where it is due.
Yeah, absolutely. Which also makes sense though, because himself working for a regional sports network that is owned by NBC. So,
all right. Anyway, Robyn.
Anyway, but
the TLDR on this is that the auction, we're still waiting for the date to be posted. Shoot for mid-June. I need to talk about some Frank Spaghetti posting. We got to do some spaghetti posting. What we're going to do, we're going to take a small break, and then we're going to talk about Frank Spaghetti.
I also do have the graphic, which we'll bring up in a little bit too, of the renderings, which we'll get to.
Robyn. I love when Frank Spaghetti talks, because I get content and laughter. So this was like a recent thing he did. I read an article that gave the transcript of it. It sounded like an interview where he first posted a clip where he's like, oh, well, the NHL could have said that they're playing in mullet next year, but they didn't, even though they said that there wouldn't be time to relocate the team. Side note, yeah, as long as we hit that auction date in June, there is no time to relocate the team next year. Like I've been saying for months, very likely the Coyotes are playing in mullet next year, regardless of whether or not they relocate. So, like, to see a lot of tears on those posts was really funny. However, so then he's like, oh, it's the stuff that wasn't said, which it was said. He just was trying to farm for some sort of views. Now, there is a legitimate question. Even Craig Morgan has brought it up. How patient will the Board of Governors be? I have maintained my personal belief on this, that since the Coyotes are cash flow positive and moving forward with an arena option, I don't think the league is going to act unless they lose that auction, in which case unless Morello has like the reserve land, for example, okay, yes, that contract is ready to sign the next day. And I agree with Steve Peters. Even though he's not a reporter, he says it himself, but Steve Peters, I think this is a great take. Unless that is ready to sign and be announced the next day, if they lose the auction, Alex Morello is no longer an NHL owner. I do thoroughly believe that. It's all on him. He has full control whether or not he wins that election. I think I can speak for Robyn here when I say get it done. It's up to you. You can dictate this, and we feel he should be able to get this done, and he damn well needs to get it done. But back to Frank Spaghetti. Back talking about how the NHL might be, they're reading all their bylaws right now. The NHL is trying to force them out, and it's a conspiracy, literally spreading a conspiracy that the NHL is going to force a sale to Ryan Smith in Salt Lake, and then give Alex Morello, not just Arizona, give Alex Morello an expansion team. And I'm gonna tell you this right now, as someone who's heard quite a decent bit about frustrations from the league perspective with Alex Morello and how the situation has been handled thus far. If they take a team away from him, he is not getting another team back. The only logic I can see behind that is, okay, in order for him to agree to sell, we'll agree to give him an expansion team. But I still don't see the actual logic behind doing that, because it's still a massive headache when you can simply shut the hell up for 2 more months waiting for an auction. And Gary Bettman and the board of governors, these are all like business people or lawyers, people that actually have basic business sense. There is no actual logic to it unless they genuinely believe Morello doesn't have the money. And if he does not have the money or is not going to spend it, whichever, then he wouldn't get an expansion team later. This conspiracy theory makes 0 sense. And people are like, this makes no, it doesn't. Put 2 seconds of critical thought behind this. And this is whether or not the team relocates. All right. If they lose the auction, relocation's on the table. Whether it comes to that or not, I still do not think that I agree with Craig Morgan and everything that I've heard. That still isn't plan B. However, it becomes on the table the second they lose that that auction. Apologize. Should they lose the auction, Morello's no longer owner and relocation's on the table. I am acknowledging that and still saying that makes no sense. It would not involve Alex Morello. I don't see it. And how could you spread that with any sort of confidence and expect to have credibility? I don't get it. Robyn, I know I've been taking over the third segment. Please take it away, because I don't get it.
No, I get it. Like all that, like you're right. It would make no sense for all that to go down. Something that came to my mind is the only thing, something even remotely similar has even happened. And it wasn't even like a team relocating and then like a previous owner getting expansion team in that same city. It was like a team relocating, minority owner didn't want, thinking about relocating. Minority owner is like, you know what? I want an expansion team, and gets awarded one in a whole different city. For those that understand the history of hockey, you know exactly which franchises I'm talking about. Which 2 franchises I'm talking about, I guess. And it's you won't see that ever again. That will never happen again, because the NHL won't make money off of that. They will not make money off of that, because not only, I mean, yeah, sure, you get an expansion team, so you have to pay an expansion fee. But then there's also, if you're talking about something, again, like something even remotely similar to that, they have to go through like a dispersal draft, split the teams, because, only fair, because ownership differences. And then you got the expansion draft, and then you got it just doesn't make sense. Logically makes 0 sense at all.
It sounds like desperation, Robyn. I'm going to be honest with you. It sounds like desperation for the team to relocate. I am going to just tread lightly here when I pay attention to Frank's coverage specifically. There very much is a bias. Just like with me, there is a bias in favor of the team. And in my opinion, it is very much I want to be right. That as someone who is married, I could tell you right now, I could tell, I could see when someone just wants to be right. That is my personal opinion, however. I'm going to drop it there. But to anyone that legitimately hears they're going to force a sale and then give Morello a new expansion team, I believe Elliot Friedman, if they ever did relocate, they're coming back.
But it won't be Alex Morello.
Give it back to Alex Morello if he couldn't get the arena done. And also, if I've had this concern for a little while, Robyn, I think I mentioned on the show. Morello is going to make bank no matter what he does with this land. Whether he puts a hockey arena on it or not, he sells the team relocates or not, he's going to make money on this land. It's a booming area. It's a really good location for general business. Hockey, we'll have to wait and see. It's a better location than Glendale, but we will wait and see the full impact after about 5 to 10 years. We're not here to talk about that. So Morello,
I mean, the fact that he's gonna like put at least ideally, like in his eyes, gets a retail sports book up there, like that makes all the money.
Yes,
like
that, restaurants, housing. There's going to be so much passive income. He makes money regardless. Okay, move the team until they get the arena built. Who is going to build a hockey arena if this team gets relocated? I don't think it's Alex Morello. I don't think it's Matt Ishbia. If the team is not here, who the hell is going to just build a hockey arena? Maybe in 15 years, sure. All right. When I am rapidly aging and my liver's failing because of all the copious amounts of alcohol after my Coyotes left me, and I'm sitting on my porch crying in my little straw hat. All right, Robyn, maybe, but like in a 3-year time span, that obviously, like, that's a generic thing, just kind of going off what Elliot Friedman said. It doesn't make sense. And I understand, I've come to terms with, there are a lot of really stupid people that just want to be right. There are a lot of really bitter and stupid people that want this team gone no matter what. They will delude themselves. They will completely live in a false reality, trying to twist into pretzels. This team's going to relocate for this reason.
Here's the interesting thing about all this. Based off of my gathering, the only people really having an issue with this is the internet people. You know, those who literally make their comments all on the internet and hide behind a computer. I at my other job, I talked with so many people coming in from Canada, right? And I'm very friendly. I talk to them, especially when I find out they're from Canada. I always ask where they're from, and I always have a good conversation. Maybe bring us some hockey. And they're like, yeah, I really want to get to Mole Arenas this weekend if I can. And I'm like, and I told them, do it, because it's a really fun experience. They don't talk crap about it in any way. They're actually just like, yeah, I hear good things about it. Yeah, it's like yeah, it's small, but I hear it's great.
Because it is. It's a great arena, you know.
So, and again, like I said, like we've been talking about, it's not a permanent thing. It's never designed to be that. It's designed to be temporary until this new thing gets built. It's and people were talking about the 3rd-year option, right? Which they're going through. Obviously, they're going to figure out a way to get an extension, which is going to happen.
4th-year option.
4th-year option. And obviously, they're going to figure out a way to make it happen, right? Add an extra year or two, because like ideally, I think just 1 extra year. But that's down the road, right? Let's all focus on this auction coming up. We'll obviously update you when the actual auction date gets posted.
Can I ask you a question? Like I assume you're a reasonable person. We've only been friends for a couple of years. I don't really know if you're that reasonable, but Robyn,
you know,
if this entire process got delayed a year, which if you want to criticize how the Coyotes have handled it, I've been critical since the election and how they handled that. And I think it's completely fair that you lost a year, you punted away a year. There should be criticism there. If you want to criticize, fine. But Robyn, if in the grand scheme of things, it takes 1 additional year at Mullet past that 4th-year option, a 5th season, is it really worth the league's time to now. After 3 opportunities recently, Robyn, to move them from the no vote to them getting kicked out of Glendale to at least one other time before that, if not somewhere in between. They've had at least 3 recent opportunities. Well, I'll go ahead and just throw the bankruptcy. That's not really recent, but we'll make that be the third one. There you go. 3 opportunities there they could have relocated if they wanted to. If the league was really desperate, would it really be a service to the league to pull the plug now, so long as there is no reasonable doubt that Morello can get it done? And considering Tempe looked through the books and the government in Tempe really liked it, all the business leaders in Tempe, everyone likes to forget how much support there was from key community members. It was just the electorate didn't agree, which is what it is. We're past
key
that.
Community members and like labor contractors.
Yeah, yeah. So is it really worth it to the league to pull the plug now? With no reasonable doubt. Having a backup plan is a different thing. A backup plan is fair. Backup plan is logical. But pull the plug outright before this auction. What sense does it really serve the league to do that over potentially one additional year?
No, it makes no sense because at that point, the NHL has invested so much into it at this point. If they cut it at a loss now, not only does it make the entire league look so much worse, but they're actually the NHL would be losing money in that case because
and opening up to a lawsuit.
Yeah, exactly. There'd be so many problems. That's what, and that's kind of where the losing money would come out. People were like, "What are you talking about?" If they're cutting out, the league's smallest profit team or whatever, they're like, they'll just be like, that they'd be getting a profit because they move. Like, no, because it creates just so many other issues that you just don't understand.
And also, they wouldn't be profitable in Salt Lake. Anyone that tries to pretend there's an NHL-ready building, there is a building that can host NHL games the same way America West Arena could host NHL games. There is a building they can play in. There is not an NHL arena. You'd have the same issues you had until they get their new building built as well. It makes no sense.
Plus, let's also remember this. Salt Lake City has only has only had an NBA team. They don't have anything else.
They don't have arena football back in the day, and I think some minor league hockey. I think.
Yeah, but they do have mine. They have the Utah Grizzlies. But what I'm getting at is, where is the data that shows that they would sell out every single game in Salt Lake City?
Because it's not Arizona. Now, I'm not saying Salt Lake can't be a good market. A buddy of mine, Mason, that lived out there, said it probably wouldn't support an NHL team, but that's his opinion. We'll let the market decide whenever they do get their NHL team. They're going to get one. We know it. The Ryan Smith wants an expansion team. It's going to happen. So they'll have their opportunity, and I'm open to them having their opportunity.
I could, like I said, I could be wrong with my assessment too, given that Las Vegas, for example, hasn't had any professional sports teams before the showed up, and they boomed. I will say, to be fair, there's a lot of corporate tickets sold to like their loyal customers, as well as the entire city rallying behind the shooting that happened days before the team had its inaugural opening night. So there's a lot of things that kind of went to the team rallying behind, the city rallying behind that team, but it worked. It worked, and it works there, and they're doing well. So again, I could be wrong, but the point is, it'd be dumb. Like as we were saying, it'd be dumb for the Coyotes for the NHL to pull the plug now.
It wouldn't make sense if whatever meetings were happening at and around the All-Star break, if the answers weren't satisfactory and the NHL is seriously concerned, I have a feeling that there would have already been some sort of agreement signed. No one's told me about any specific agreement. We have no idea, but I would be surprised if when they were meeting with the NHL after the Tempe vote, if there was not at least something signed of hey, we have to get something done by X or Y, because Javier has talked about it 4 or 5 different times. Our agreement with the league is this. Hey, we agree to do this. Yeah. The answers are there.
Let's remember this. they put in the Coyotes put in the application for this Phoenix site in June, like almost
June
like
2023.
yeah,
It'll almost be a year
like
between. Like it was a long
a month.
process.
Yeah, so it was a month
Yes.
between the loss, the Novo, in which they put in the application.
And it'll be a year between the application and the auction. It just shows how slow the government is, and that's one of my frustrations. I don't know why Murillo chose this route because of how it's the longest route. However, it also has some of the highest upside, and that's probably what he's looking at right now.
I will say props to them for having at least 5 months of keeping it under wraps. Like
yeah,
no one knew.
Oh my god!
Like no one knew until like
until the All-Star break. That's when it all started coming out.
Even late November, right? Late November is when we started hearing those rumors.
Well, the North Phoenix rumors, yeah.
Yeah, when my source came to me and told me Desert Ridge, I was like, okay, I got something to work with. And I started teasing you guys and start actually saying anything until mid-December. But like that's when we started to know a little bit more. We didn't know anything up until that point.
But then it wasn't until like February when they put in the application with the government, we found that out. What's actually in the application, the projected open date of 2027.
Yeah,
all that stuff came out around February. They kept so much stuff under wraps. It is shocking. It is shocking. So it's like, that's also why another reason, like, I know we're running low on time, so I'm going to keep this very generic. It's another reason why when people bring up the long list of stuff they still have to do, I acknowledge it as an unknown variable. Because I find it hard to believe whatever processes can be started early in terms of paperwork hasn't already been started and should also be resolving around the same time. But it is still unknown because we don't know. But we also didn't know they put in this application in June until a couple months ago, which is why, like, moving forward, a lot of this, like, oh, have they done this? We don't know. They could have. They probably have, but wait for a confirmation is probably the best way to approach any Coyotes arena news right now or arena updates, because legitimately, none of us 100% know. Most of the information, for example, me and you had were Desert Ridge. And I remember the earliest stuff I was being told was they were targeting a private parcel, and we were talking about a lot of private parcels. Same area, but a whole different process that one bit of information would have changed the entire context and then did later. So it's like anyone that Steve Peters also said this very well months ago on PHNX, where it's like anyone that tells you this is what's going to happen doesn't actually know. All we can do is our best to be like, hey,
even those with inside sources, like like myself had for the last few months, and those that have those, like our knowledge is still limited because it's more of like, here's what's going on in the process, but we can't say what's going to happen. The process, this part of the process is getting taken care of, but what's happening past that we can't really say because we don't know.
However, local media has been batting like 700 here, and national media has been batting below the Mendoza line. So make of all that what you will. All the info's still out there. All the articles, all the videos, and our discussions are all still out there. Craig Morgan still exists and has been doing phenomenal reporting this literal entire time. But hey, what do I know? We're here talking about spaghetti instead of a real journalist.
To close things off, I just want, I'm sure a lot of you guys have already seen it already, but let's get everyone excited once again.
Oh, the renderings?
Just at least this one.
Look at all that. Look at all that flooded land. Look at all.
Oh yeah, look at that beauty. Absolute beauty. What's interesting is you can see towards the bottom of it, they actually put in a sound barrier. What it looks like.
Oh, I thought that was just a sidewalk. Weird, like I thought it was a weird sidewalk pattern.
No, it's a sound barrier. That's at least in my expert opinion.
The residential is not even that far away, so it would make sense of like, hey, we'll do this about the noise because NIMBYs are going to complain. They complained in Tempe. So
Right.
like,
I mean, this is a
obviously.
different situation because it's off the Loop 101 highway, but yes.
That'd be so funny if people are like super mad about the noise, but there's a highway right there.
You can't please everybody.
You can't please anyone, Rob. You can't. You can't please anyone.
That's true. But it's excited. I think this looks gorgeous. I love the look of it. So
It's a little too modern for my tastes. I prefer my arenas boring, but I just want them to have a home. I don't care at the end of the day.
the days in which arenas were just like a giant like square slab.
It's just a circle. I miss those days. Just give me a circle again, or a rectangle. Screw it. Build a trapezoid for all I care. Build the Coyotes a home. Go back to the Phoenix Coyotes name. Put Doan's name back up from the rafters, and keep my hockey team here. That's all. And stop listening to spaghetti for your Coyotes reporting. I can tell you right now, the bowl of buttered noodles I made myself for breakfast knows more than spaghetti about this specific situation. Stop.
People you can pay attention to are us, Craig Morgan, AZ Central, and that's about it.
Honestly, take me out of that list, Robyn. Remember, I don't know anything. I'm stupid. I keep getting proven wrong, but nobody can point to what I'm wrong about.
Hey, but you're on the list by transit the property of being associated to me.
Ah, that's not conceded. Anyway. Anyway, look. This turn, every time we disappear for a couple weeks, you're getting a longer episode. Sean, I don't care. We're putting out a 50-minute episode. That's fine. Everyone's going to have a good time. We're not splitting it up. I don't care. Also, I need to complain. All right. Because when Robyn takes away my microphone to complain for a week, I need to make up for it because I love complaining about stupidity on the internet.
That's fair. I mean, I get it. Any final thoughts?
It's pretty cool. We found a T-Rex with its last meal in its stomach a few months ago. That's all I got. I don't have thoughts. I'm just exhausted. I'm going to be up for another hour and then right back to work and school tomorrow. So I don't think head hurt.
All right. Well, that's going to be it for today's episode. Hope you guys like what you heard. Don't forget to leave a review.
Oh, anyway, go away. Don't forget to leave a like, review, comment, subscribe, something about Sirius XM. Make sure to get us anywhere you get your podcast. We are Locked On Coyotes. Facebook.com/Locked On Coyotes. On Twitter at LO_Coyotes. She is personally Robyn Leonio at Robyn_Leonio, and I am no longer at the AZ Sports Guy. I am at Coyote Matt 265. AZ Sports Guy is dead. Bury it. Thanks to you so much for watching. Something about liking and subscribing, recent trends, and bye. Go away.
Hope you guys are staying safe out there. Hope you guys are staying healthy, and don't forget to howl on.